My name is Christy Alvaro. I work for Ajax Paving Industries of Florida. I've been in the asphalt industry about 25 years.
My name is Marty Andrade. I work for the Asphalt Group in Miami, and I've been in asphalt for 41 years.
I'm Molly Berry. I work at Duval Asphalt and Asphalt Testing Solutions and Engineering, or ATS, and I've been in the industry for about 4.5 years now.
My name is Tim Carter. I'm the Director of Quality Control for P&S Paving in Daytona Beach, and I've been in materials testing for about 37 years.
My name is Rick Crocker. I work at Preferred Materials in Tampa. I'm the operations manager, and I've been in the paving industry for 43 years.
Bob Flowers. I'm with CWR Contracting out of Tallahassee. I've been in the industry 40 years.
Vince Hafley, Ajax Paving Industries of Florida, President. I work out of our North Venice office, and I've been in the industry for 37 years.
My name is Calvin Lewis. I'm the QC manager at CW Roberts in Plant City. I've been in the business since 1998.
My name is John McBrayer. I work with Asphalt Division of Hubbard Construction Company. I'm the chief estimator on the asphalt side, and I've been with Hubbard 14 years. I've been in the asphalt industry for 32 years.
Gene Strickland. I'm with Anderson Columbia Company, working our Mariana operations. We handle West Florida from Tallahassee to about Pensacola. I've been doing this since I was in high school, so I've been in it for about 43 years.
Well, it's funny you should ask. I grew up on a farm. It was what I wanted to do and what my family wanted me to do and what everybody else wanted me to do. Anyways, long story short, I ended up working in the field in the asphalt industry. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, started running rollers and shoveling and doing whatever around pavers, running farm tractors, of course, on the dairy farm that I grew up on. I then took a test for civil service when I was 18. So at 19, I entered into the police academy, where I had some Vietnam veterans, state troopers, screaming at me and hit me in the brim of my head with their hats. So I grew up quick. At 19 years old, I graduated the state police academy, and then still ran the family business even when I get out and was on the job. I did just shy of 20 years, retired. So I always wanted to be around paving because that's what my family was doing. But then this civil service test took me in a different direction, but I was still able to maintain the business, family business. I grew it. Really got involved in more paving activities instead of just trucking and that sort of thing.
So when I graduated high school, I was only one of two people that went to college from my family, my grandfather being the other one. So he was obviously a huge inspiration to me, and he was a chemical engineer that worked for a big chemical corporation in North Carolina. So I really thought that was going to be my path. And when I went to Virginia Tech, that's what I started out studying. I soon found out that I didn't enjoy chemistry classes in college as much as I did in high school. So I began to broaden my horizons, and I looked to civil engineering. So when I graduated as a civil engineer, not sure what I was going to do with that. I got a job at Virginia Department of Transportation as an entry-level engineer. So over the 9 months that I worked there, they did a lot of training with me. They taught me how to read plans, how to do design work. And I realized that I didn't want to do that either. So it was very slow, confined to an office, a little bit isolated for me. So I looked at relocating. And when I put my resume out there, I matched with some heavy highway construction firms. So that's how I ended up at Ajax Paving in the asphalt industry, and it just happened to work out. The estimating was like the perfect fit for me.
My dream was to be a golf pro, and I came to Florida to do that. I'm originally from Texas.
Well, that's a good question. There were several things that were going around my mind at the time. In college, I took a geology course And I was intrigued by that, so I wanted to be a geologist. And then the movie Top Gun came out. Then I wanted to be a Navy pilot. That lasted for about 15 seconds. There were so many choices. I was in Southern California at the time, and I wanted to explore law enforcement and become a Border Patrol agent. So there were all these different choices going on, but geology really caught my interest, and so I kind of followed along in that vein.
I was going to be a civil engineer is what I was planning to do. Well, I went to TCC for a long time, but I was working and going to school, so I didn't quite get that done. Got married, my wife finished school, then I went back and ended up getting a degree in in economics. So that's kind of where the degree went. So the civil engineering thing never happened. But during that time, I was working part-time and full-time for a company in Tallahassee, Mitchell Brothers, and did that through college. And then after I kind of took a break, went to work full-time for them and eventually become a vice president there. And that's my position with Anderson-Columbia. I've been a vice president since I come to work back in '93. And also an area manager is actually my day-to-day task.
I was actually going to school at Daytona Beach Community College in a civil technology program. Just wanted to have a 2-year degree, and a man by the name of Dr. Johnston, which was a retired Army Corps of Engineer out of Louisiana, he convinced me that I should go on and further my education, but he's the one that actually got me into. There was a job description in the local newspaper for a part-time technician working for a geotechnical engineering firm. And they wanted experience. He told me, you should go apply for this. And I said, well, I don't have any experience. He said, well, they want someone to break concrete cylinders, and we broke one in this class, so you've got experience. Go there and sell yourself. So I went there, and 3 weeks later had a job there, working 2 hours a day, 1 day a week at $4.50 an hour. So that was my break getting into the business.
It's probably my own fault. Again, my father and grandfather, my uncle were in it as far as trucking goes and that sort of stuff. So I was always around it. So when I was young, 8, 9, 10 years old, I'd go to work with my father or my uncle, my grandfather, and I'd ride on the paver. And back then they were old Barbara Greens. And, I'd sit there and I would move along with the console, like the operator, like I was running it. And people would drive by and they'd say, that kid's too young to be running a paver. So, it's just small things like that. The guys that I grew up with, and, not just family, but old school foremen, they were some of the toughest guys around, but they had the biggest hearts in the world. They were just great people that grew up around. A lot of Portuguese that I grew up with, Portuguese Americans. They had a big impact on how I grew up and how I looked at things too. Again, they were tough, but they were fair, and it was an industry that appealed to me.
No, I guess it is by default. It was a summer job, and I got into it, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. So throughout the years, I've been able to do just about all in the asphalt business, and I just grew to love it.
I pretty much kind of stumbled into it as I was trying to get experience in construction. Nobody led me there. My father was an engineer. He went to Georgia Tech, but he was more mechanical and ended up working with Lockheed Martin. I didn't like the inside of that. I just pretty much found it myself.
I would have to blame the person at fault, or the persons at fault, for getting me into the asphalt industry. Mitchell Gant, who's the vice president of Duval Asphalt, and Jennifer Garrett, the director of marketing and business development for Duval Asphalt. I had a small stint selling uniforms when I relocated back to the Jacksonville area a couple years, almost 4.5 years ago now. And Duval Asphalt was one of my clients, and I spent a lot of time with Duval Asphalt, their different team members, every single person on the crew. I had to fit everybody for uniforms, and had a lot of respect for the company, the team members there, and long story short, they ended up offering me a position while I got to know them as one of my clients.
I probably don't have any one person that influenced me throughout my career. Probably a big one early on was a man by the name of Tom Bechtel. I worked for Tom at a geotechnical firm, and Tom and I actually went and opened up our own company, Bechtel Engineering, in 1989. I left in 92. Family issues, it wasn't a work issue. So Tom was a big mentor early on, helping me and pushing me in directions. After that, it's a lot of people in the industry. That's one thing about this industry. There's a lot of friends and relationships that comes out of it. So, I don't know if I've had one mentor or if I've had 100 mentors. It's a business of relationships. And if you're willing to reach out and work with people, there's a lot of people there to help you.
Well, I think along my path in engineering, Warren Dietrich is a mentor of mine. He was my boss. I worked for him at Dietrich Engineering at one point in my career here in Orlando. And he just had an approach that was hands-on. He would meet you in the field and show you the mechanics of things and why they work and how they work. And he was just a very easy guy to learn from. And to this day, I still learn things from him.
Walter Brewer. Walter Brewer was the family I went to work for at the beginning, and you know, I guess he saw in me the drive that I had and the love I had for the industry, and so he let me learn anything I wanted to learn, and he allowed me to exercise my knowledge, and I got involved in every aspect of the operation. I've done everything from operating a shoulder machine to modifying asphalt plants. I've run lay-down operations, plant production, sales, estimating, mixed designs, QC, quality control. So I've just about done it all.
Well, for certain, I would say Charles Owens. He was the CEO of Construction Partners, Inc., and before that, he was CEO of Superfoss Construction US. So I worked with him for 25 years. During my formative years, I started working with him when I was in my late 20s, and worked with him up until 2 years ago when I was 60. So there was a 10-year gap in there, but certainly he would be right at the top of my list. But I would have to say, and I think it's something about this industry because of the nature of it. We all kind of have a team concept, and I've always received help, whether it be from my superiors, my colleagues, people that work for me. It's the type of industry where everyone has to work together, and if we're not all out there cooperating and all in the harness together, it doesn't work. And my mentoring has come from leagues of people besides Charles, but I would certainly be remiss if I didn't put him at the top.
Well, I have several of them. Mark Marine was one. He actually got me over into the asphalt industry. And then driving a lowboy for him, I was at a golf tournament. I met Dave Dramer, who was over the labs at APAC, and he invited me over to the lab, and through there I met Jamie Hill. He was the QC manager at the time, and from there on I've been in the lab ever since at various different locations.
So I think I was about 10 years in, and I had some opportunities to look around and entertain some other positions, and specifically some design positions that were out recruiting. And when I went and interviewed with one of those, I just realized that all the things that they were offering me, I had better than they could give me. So it's such a rewarding field. It's fast paced, you know, it's very social. There was nothing that I was lacking at that point. When I started looking, I realized that this was really the industry for me.
Well, probably when my second child was born, that kind of drove me to seek paving industry, because I figured out in my infinite wisdom that these asphalt plants, most of them weren't portable. And so, you know, if you work for an asphalt company, you kind of worked around your plant. And so I had moved 4 or 5 times from age 23 to 30, and I could see if I was interested in settling down and raising a family in a conventional manner, that, you know, the asphalt industry was an opportunity for me.
I found a home in the asphalt industry. I think once I started really developing solid relationships with the people around the state who are part of the industry too. Part of my job is traveling a lot to different conferences and trade shows, and I really found my group of people. And prior to the asphalt industry, I worked in the beauty industry, which on the outside is very glamorous and fun, and Fashion Week and Vegas and all these great things. But the people in the asphalt industry are second to none, and I definitely have found my home here and my family.
I just kind of fell in love with it, and it kind of gets into your blood, if you will. It's a fast-paced industry. It's a cyclic industry. There's times when it's boom, and then there's times when there's not a lot of work to bid on or to build. But I focused on the infrastructure. I said, okay, no matter what happens, we're going to have good infrastructure to sustain our economy. I said, living in the United States, I don't think we'll ever see our infrastructure fall into such repair that it cripples us. So I felt like it was a long-term, career that would be fruitful, and then the rest would be up to me.
When I was graduating from Florida State, I'd been in the business for a while, and I actually started working on a paving crew behind the paver, and then I run the paver. I'd run the low boy. I've run the asphalt plants I run that for like a whole summer, and it was back in the old days. It's not these nice new fancy plants like you see here. Everything's computerized. It was very mechanical. Ran that, I could run that, helped put one up. But when I finally finished, I've got a degree in economics from Florida State. There was, back then, I guess they still do it, they have recruiting days where they have all these companies come in, and I talked to this one like Sherwin-Williams and Nutria, the fertilizer foodstuff company, and several others. And I kind of, after I started talking to them, I said, you know what, I like what I'm doing, and stayed there and have been here ever since. So then none of that really looked that interesting, being in sales or working a counter or doing, whatever that would have required, because what we do every day is come to work, get stuff done in the office. You can go out to the field, see what's going on, check on jobs. It's, do stuff like this. And it's been that was the point that I realized that this was a great career.
I don't know that I have any regrets staying in the industry. God, I would have to think if I have any regrets for staying in the industry. Is every day a good day? No. Is every day a rewarding day? Probably. I think even on bad days when things go wrong, there's opportunity to alleviate those problems. So at the end of the day, if you kind of sit back and think about it, it's rewarding. It's a tough industry. There's a lot of mental health in our industry. There's a lot of suicide in our industry. which are topics that I'm diving into and working on now. So I'm hoping to leave an impact on those areas before I leave. Again, it's an industry of great people. And if you enjoy people, if you enjoy relationships, that's why it's so great for ex-military to come into our industry. It's a family industry. So no regret today, ask me tomorrow, because some days I do and some days I don't. But in general, it's an awesome industry, and I would encourage anyone to go into it.
None whatsoever. I did, when I got into the asphalt industry, I came out of the bridge business, and I really had a really love for the bridge business. I loved concrete work. I loved structural work, and it was hard for me to make this change into asphalt. But my theory that, you know, permanent plants and working in a local market, and as we used to say, sitting in the church pew on Sunday with your customers and things of that nature, proved to be very beneficial. I'm glad I made that move. So it's been very rewarding and continues to be that.
So no, I don't have any regrets.
No regrets whatsoever.
Absolutely zero. I have been very fortunate. Again, this industry and the people in it have treated me very well. I've learned a lot. I think I've grown as a person as a result. I have no regrets. In fact, it's all good. My two children both attended the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, the military college. They're both officers in the United States Army. You know, so they've done well. That this industry's afforded me that ability financially and also for the time off to go and do it. You know, I started again at a young age of probably 9 or 10, learning and actually running rollers when I was 10 or 11 years old, believe it or not, with my family. But, you know, and it progressed up, and I'm like, I'm not going to be on the street for the rest of my life, listen to my grandfather yell at me and stick a boot in my butt, you know. But so I progressed from there, and with the help of a lot of people too.
Absolutely not. I really don't. It's been good to me. You know, if you've got aspirations to do something, it's been good to me. I have no regrets.
Not at all.
I have no regrets about staying in the asphalt industry. I look forward to my job every day. Our industry is always changing and growing. And at ATS, we get to be a big part of a lot of those changes, whether it's connecting industry professionals together who are discussing some of the latest innovations and technologies in our industry, or being able to do the testing of a lot of these new products coming into the industry to help with sustainability or longer lasting roads, and all the different green initiatives and everything that's going on right now. Zero regrets. I wish I had started earlier, so I had a lot more knowledge than I do now. There's a lot up here. It's a lot to understand and take in a short time, and there's always something new every day. So there's a lot of continuous learning. And then my only regret is not starting sooner.
None. I mean, it's like being a football coach. I run an operation where we bid work every day, and you know, when you're doing that, you got competition. You want to beat them, but you don't want to beat them too bad, because if you beat them too bad, you've messed up. But so every day is something different. I've got great people working for me, so it makes my job easy. I mean, I've got fantastic guys, and that's what they tell me. Said, you know, I've got my peeps, I call them. But anyways, they make sure that everything gets done. They stay on top of things. I get texts, just continually about what's happening, what's changing. So it just, it's fun. I mean, it's just a fun. And then we do a lot of cool stuff that's, for the company I work for, we do a lot of cool stuff that's outside of building roads. It's hunting, fishing, doing those kind of things.
No, I really don't have any regrets staying in this industry at all.
Well, I think people put too much weight in this industry on working outside and in the hot sun. I mean, that is just, to me, I kind of come at it from a field perspective, And that, I think younger people these days see that as a major detriment. And I never saw it that way. I always saw it that you always have those spring days that are beautiful, and you're lucky to be able to be out there and work out in them all day long, every day. And when you have fall days that are beautiful. Now, those summer and winter days, sometimes they can be kind of tough. But it's just a great industry, and the people are great, smart. You know, I think we asphalt people sometimes get a bad rap. Maybe we're not the most intelligent in the world. Otherwise, we wouldn't be out there doing that. But I think we get we're a short sale there. So,
Well, I will say that when I was a kid, skateboarding was a big deal in our neighborhood. And I remember having an affinity for brand new asphalt. I had no idea that I'd end up making it and producing it. But yeah, if there was new asphalt anywhere, that's exactly where we were going to go. So fast forward, here we are making good asphalt roads for other skateboarders.
Just something that I like to tell people, younger generation, my son and others, that, you know, if you get into this industry as a young person, it's a great career choice. You can go places in it. You can make a great living at it. And so I recommend it.
I would say that if anybody wants to get into this industry, they need to look at the benefits of it. Right now is a great time to be in this industry. We have different opportunities that are out there, not just for college-educated people, but for people that are good work ethic, that have a great degree of intelligence and want to learn and want to be challenged. I mean, I think that's the best thing about this industry. The challenges that are out there are, you know, they're great. They're great challenge. They challenge you personally. They challenge you professionally. I enjoy it. I just enjoy it. It really is good. So, yeah.
I wish that I could get a hold of a lot of young people and get them interested in our industry. Believe me, it's all hard work, but not all of construction now is just toiling in the field. You know, there's so many different branches of construction and all of the departments. And as I was coming over here, I was thinking about, I don't remember ever having an IT department until around 1990. I didn't see computers until maybe the early to mid 80s. And just thinking of how the technology that we now have at our disposal has changed the way we do our business. And there's just so many facets that someone can explore and find themselves while making a decent living. And you don't have to have any experience with all of the on-the-job training. And you've got to have an aspiration to do well, but it's still an industry where you could start from the bottom and you could be at the top someday if you work for it.
Well, it's a very rewarding industry. It is demanding on the person and a family life, but it's very rewarding, and it's never a dull moment. That's for sure. There's you know, different scenarios pop up every day. Every job's different. Personnel is different. I've been blessed that I've worked with some amazing folks in this industry, statewide, and I work for amazing families. So I'm very blessed. My 4 sons are in the business. So, you know, that tells you what I think about the industry. And I just think it's a great opportunity for anyone who wants to get involved.
Being newer in the industry and not having all that experience, I was given a very great opportunity at Duval Asphalt to learn absolutely everything about the industry before they sent me on my way to do marketing for the company. I started in the quality control lab at ATS to learn how to test the asphalt, and then I learned on the street how to test the asphalt. I got certified in mix design, MOT, learned how a plant worked. I went through the ringer with training. And if it's possible to teach your employees that, anybody who is hiring maybe the next generation, and give them the opportunity to absolutely learn everything about the industry. I worked on the crews. I learned how to use a lute and work the screed. I went out with our project estimators to commercial accounts to learn that side of the business. I was with our superintendents on the DOT jobs. You need to learn and embrace everything, because that's where you're really going to find where you fit. And you're going to feel a sense of ownership, and it's more relatable if you do have the opportunity to learn every aspect of it?
Like I said, I started out on a shovel, and back in those days, you're thinking, man, I got to find something else that's hot. You know, it's 100-degree days in Tallahassee. I've climbed up under a dump truck to find shade, and you're thinking, man, I'm going to get me a job somewhere in an office building, doing that. But as I saw other people in the industry that, they're driving the trucks, right out to the job, I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy in that truck, and then we started doing a little estimating. And so as all that come together, it become a great career to have, and just seeing that, I really haven't seen like an engineer. I know hundreds of them. I have some working for me, so I mean it's one of those deals where that at one point that probably would have been something, if you had that and things got bad, you'd have a professional license to fall back on, and you can do that. Whereas what I have is a lot of experience that can be used not only in what we do here every day, but can be used. I'm get drug into church stuff and community stuff to help, and the ball fields and all that. We help keep all that stuff together in the local community. So it's I guess the original question was regrets. There's no regrets, but and then as far as and having been in it as long as I've been in it, I've had the opportunity to serve on the Florida Transportation Builders Board and was chairman. It's been about 8 or 10 years ago now, I don't even remember, but I'm on the National Road Builder Board and get to serve in that capacity. Was headed up to Washington the other day. We had some issues, so I never did make it to the meetings, but I've been on that board now for about 5 years and really enjoy that. So there's a lot of doors open, but one thing I would want, it's a great career, and we're trying to bring, we've got several of our children that we, encourage them to come into the business, and they have come into the business. My son worked for us for a long time, but he decided his calling was to be a youth pastor. So he's doing that, but every now and then he'll come help us because he has the skill set. But one of my project managers, his son's now a project manager with us. Our safety guy, his son's a professional engineer that works with us in management. So, our kids see what a great job it is. They see how well we do. They see the financial, I'm trying to think of what's the word I'm looking for, the material, benefits of the business. But it's hard to convince other people that it's that, because they just see, somebody on the road with a shovel or on a hot paver, and they're missing a lot of opportunities. So if there was a way to, and I know that's going to say, hey, this is a career. This is not just a job. This is a career. And we have a lot of people that come in out of high school. I've got several guys that come in out of high school. We've got one in Texas. He's now our same position as I have here, area manager and a vice president out in our Texas operation. And he started out working for me as a laborer. So that's the opportunity that we have in this business, because it doesn't require a college education. It requires, we call it the want to. You got to want to, and you have the desire. We can make, I guess the sky's the limit, I guess, for lack of a better saying. There's really no limit to the opportunity that you can get in this business. We enjoy it.
I would say that I wish that we could do a better job of recruiting and getting the word out there, what kind of opportunities there are within the asphalt industry, because I feel like we get overlooked sometimes for some of the more glamorous fields like design work or big structural, architectural engineering jobs. So I think that, if we could attract people to our business and at least have them start out entry level, they could see what we have to offer.
My name's Jamie Hill. I work for Gardner Asphalt Supply, and I've been in the industry since 1989. I wanted to be a game warden or a veterinarian. When I was 13 years old, I lost my father. He was murdered, and when that happened, that changed the dynamics of my career and everything, and all my ambitions to go to college. I wanted to go to the University of Alabama. I really wanted to be a game warden or a veterinarian, something to do with animals and being outside. And I couldn't leave my mom and my brother and my family because we're so small, and I just couldn't find myself leaving them. And I was dealing with a lot from that. And I lost, my mentor, my leader, my dad, that was going to guide me. And so the insecurities kept me from stepping out in any other direction that I wanted to go into. So I ended up getting into construction. I started running heavy equipment, which is what my father did. So I kind of find myself falling back into what my dad was doing, and he was very well known for being a great equipment operator. So all of a sudden, I went from game warden and veterinarian to I wanted to be the best equipment operator out there, and which is a big change from that from those two directions. There was a big change. And once I got into construction, there was a company in Winter Haven named Mac Asphalt that was very well known throughout the industry for being the best paving company, best construction company, and I had a friend that worked there. So I went there every Friday for 2 months telling them that they were going to hire me. They finally hired me in 1989 as an equipment operator. Once they hired me as equipment operator, they started sending me around all over the state of Florida with portable asphalt plants, out to construction, got jobs, but I was just running heavy equipment at the time. And I have been, in the industry ever since. So the company Mac Asphalt was a big family-oriented company. And I would attribute my success overall to the culture of that company, Mac Asphalt, which was founded by Pat Bolton, which we actually hand out an award every year called the AP Pat Bolton Award for the best in paving for ACAF. And I'm very proud to have started my career with the company that he founded. But the individuals at that company that played a huge part, not only in my career, but also in my life as a husband and as a father, is Dave Dramer, Ray Curtis, Dave Hay, and Louis Tillery. That's the president, the vice president, the quality control manager, and a lead estimator, former branch manager. Those 4 individuals have been a part of my life from the day I started until today, as I sit before you. And I do want to send out a thank you to Dave Hay, Dave Dramer, and Ray Curtis. Louis could not be here today, but they are on stage with us today, and I'm very thankful that they're here. They have been a part of my life in every aspect, but from the work perspective, the encouragement and what they saw in me that I did not has really been rewarding for me and my family. When I realized that the time that I had in the industry had accumulated up to, next thing you know, I'd been in the industry 5 years. And I'm all about loyalty, and I realized that the people that I was working for and the company I was working for was teaching me a lot, and I was learning a lot. And I never had the opportunity to go find another job because of the hours they worked us. When you work 70, 80 hours a week, you don't have time to go interview for another job. There was no Indeed, there was no internet or cell phones. So all you could do was go to work, and if you didn't fill out an application in person and go sit with someone, you weren't going anywhere else. So I really ended up staying in it by default for the fact they worked me so many hours. But I was after those hours. Anytime they needed a go-to guy, if it didn't matter what it was, I wanted to go to work. So I would say that I realized I wanted to stay in it when I seen the benefit of the career path that was laid out by the folks that had hired me, and I seen a future. I do not. I truly do not have any regrets. I actually am blessed beyond words for what has transpired in my life, in my career. I've raised 2 boys. I have 3 grandchildren. I have been married for 26 years, and my family knows as much about, my immediate family knows as much about paving roads as I do. They've been a very important part of my career. Behind every successful man is a good woman. You've heard that before. My wife has been very patient and very supportive of my career. And I love the people in our industry. They're great people. They're wonderful people, hardworking people. And I truly love everybody that's here at this convention this weekend. It's an amazing industry. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. I would like to encourage everyone that's listening right now to look into your employees, get to know your employees, get to know your staff, and understand what they're all about, and find a place for them. If they're wanting to come to work every day for your company and they want to be successful, make sure they're in the right spot. Make sure they have a sponsor, a mentor. Because I'm very blessed to have mine here with me today, and I think that is something that sometimes gets overlooked, unfortunately, and people miss out on opportunities that are there. So I really encourage everyone here, whether you're working side by side with someone or whether you're an upper level management, make sure you understand who you're working with and what their talents are, and feed off of that. Grow your company with those people that can truly benefit you. Because I'm an example of someone that, if it wasn't for Dave Dramer realizing that I didn't need to run heavy equipment, I never would have become the officer of Lane Construction.